Hey y'all, Paula Dean here, just giving a shout out to some good old butter. Not so fast, girlie. This is Fabio giving my shout out to I Can't Believe It's Not Butter. Okay y'all, so those are my goofy impersonations of two of the most influential people in the food world for butter and margarine. Today we're going to be talking about whether or not butter or margarine is better. This is an argument that's been going on in the food world probably since medical has told us that butter is bad for our heart. So is it really bad for our heart? I don't know. Let's find out. First off, I want to go ahead and go over some terms. One is HDL, which is good cholesterol. The other is LDL, which is bad cholesterol. Then we have trans fat, which is really bad for our arteries. Then we have saturated fats, which is not so good either, but not as bad as trans fats. Then you have your unsaturated fats. That's the good fats, and those are the fats that we want. My personal opinion is butter is way better than margarine. I prefer butter because it tastes really good. And it works really good for my cooking. I don't have to worry about if it's going to work or not like you do with margarine. Margarine, you got to be careful when you're cooking. It may not work in some recipes because it has a high water content according to the Medical Daily News. And you really got to be aware of which brand of margarine you're using for baking. That alone tells me butter is way better. Anyways, so as we move on to our debate whether or not butter is better than margarine, we're going to consult the Mayo Clinic. The Mayo Clinic talks about what exactly butter and margarine is. Butter is made from animal fat. So when you milk a cow, you have your cream from the milk, and when it's churned for so long, it solidifies and all of the moisture is removed from it. It's actually pretty neat to make. I've made it, and if you haven't, you should give it a try. But that's butter in a nutshell. It's just solid animal fat. Sounds kind of gross, but that's what it is. So margarine is concocted from a mixture of vegetable oils and flavorings and such to give it, that butter consistency and kind of a butter replacement type flavor. So where's our problem? Well, according to the Harvard Health Beat newsletter, there is no argument. It's a silly argument between butter and margarine because margarine contains in it trans fats. Now, when we consider what trans fats are, the Mayo Clinic tells us that trans fats actually destroy HDL, which, remember, is our good cholesterol. We want that. But trans fats gets rid of those. When you're looking at margarine, you've got to make sure that your margarine does not have trans fats in it. Some margarines do, some don't now. Also, when you are looking at your butters, you can lower the amount of fats that you have, your saturated fats, by getting a spreadable butter, according to the Medical Daily News. When you have a spreadable butter, what has happened is they've added some of that moisture via some oils. A lot of the times they'll use olive oils and stuff like that back into the butter to make it spreadable, which cuts on the trans fats. And it makes it go farther. So you have more of that delicious butter to spread on your bread. Also, we want to discuss that certain parts of your diet, you really need to have, you need to have fats in your diet. Let's just do that. You need to have fats in your diet. Plain and simple. You have to eat some fats. Ingest some fats. Some people do it by eating it directly from the steak. But you don't actually have to go out of your way to get fats into your diet. It's quite simple. Drink some milk that's not skim. There you go. Got a whole bunch of fat. Have some olive oil. Have some canola oil. Have some butter. You know, all of that stuff, that brings fats into your diet, which, according to the Medical Daily News, it is very important to have fats in your diet. You do need a certain amount. So cutting huge amounts of fats out of your diet can actually cause harm to your body and how it produces fats. Essentially, it produces more fat because it feels it needs it. Also, butter, being that it's animal fats, it freezes really well. You know, so you can actually store it in your freezer and it will last very long. I store lots of butter in my freezer. So you can get a good deal on it and shuttle it away. It's not hard to shop for butter. It's difficult to shop for margarine. Margarine, you really got to watch out for those trans fats. Margarine, you've got to make sure it's definitely one of the spreadable versions. You want to read your ingredient package. I don't know if you guys can see it, but on the back you have your breakdown of your fats and all of that good stuff, and it does have to have the fats on it. But, you know, it's not really telling you everything that's in it. According to this, I can't believe it's not butter. It's got soybean oil. Ugh. Do we even need to get into soybean oil? Soys, GMOs? We don't have to worry about that too much with our butter. We just want to make sure that it says our cows are not treated with hormones when we buy our butter, which was also a recommendation from the Medical Daily News. So when you come down to it, let's decide butter or margarine once and for all. Give it everything we got. So I say butter, and butter is good. Let's stick with Paula Deen. On a side note though, I just want to let you know that if your doctor has recommended that you need to go to a margarine, do your research on the margarine. Don't go against what your doctor says. They know better. And you may not be well suited to butter. But if your doctor doesn't say anything, hit that butter up. Thanks.